this might sound weird, but I'd rather be kind of like, God forbid, I'd rather be paralyzed than have sickle cell disease. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen, and on this channel we film lifestyle, finance, and storytime videos so you can live a fruitful and abundant life. So today I'm going to be telling a story time about the first time I've ever had a sickle cell crisis. If you guys do not know, I have sickle cell disease. I was born with it. It's hereditary. I've done a whole video about what it is, how it affects me, and how it can affect the Black community. So if you want to go watch that video, you can, but after you watch this one. If you guys do not know, I am Caribbean, I am Haitian, and I was not born in America. My parents brought me over here when I was about 3 years old, I want to say. I was a very small child, and I don't remember ever having sickle cell crises in Haiti. I don't remember ever having sickle cell crisis in Haiti, but as soon as I came here to the United States of America, okay, I remember having small pain here and there when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I would tell my family, like, I'm having pain in my legs, I'm having pain in my arms. I would be limping sometimes, and my parents or my family basically thought, like, it's, girl, you're just growing, you're gonna be a tall kid, which I did not end up being a tall child. I am 5'1", I'm super short. All of my other siblings are like way taller than me, but yeah, my parents thought they were growing pains, and I distinctively remember telling them, if this is growing pains, I do not want to be an adult. I do not want to grow up because this is painful. So after my mother had my sister, she had my sister here in the United States, and they did all these type of tests, and they found out that my sister had sickle cell disease. I think it's the SS type, and they were like, do you have any other children? My mother was like, yes, I have one other daughter. And they're like, you need to get her tested because she could have sickle cell. And indeed, I did have sickle cell. And I've been having sickle cell crises, pain crises, but my parents just thought it was growing pains. When my mother first came to the United States, she had to start working, and so she put me in daycare. I started daycare at about 3 or 4 years old, like I mentioned. And one day at daycare, it was not a good day for me. It was a winter day. I think it was winter. My mother brought me to daycare as usual. Nothing weird happened or whatever. So she brought me to daycare. I had a good morning. And then as soon as lunchtime hit, I wasn't feeling well. Like, my body felt weird. And the thing about sickle cell disease is right before you have a crisis, your body kind of warns you. Like, you just feel different. Like your face is droopy, your eyes are low, your body is achy. It's a weird feeling. It's really hard to describe, but I was feeling that way. I was starting to feel that feeling that you get if you have sickle cell, and there's a feeling you get right before shit goes down and it's all over. So I was feeling weird, right? In the morning I was good, my mom dropped me off, I was feeling fine, but as soon as lunchtime hit, I was feeling funny. And at the age of 3 or 4 years old, I didn't know what that feeling was, but now as an adult, I know I'm about to have a sickle cell crisis. But at the age of 3 or 4, I felt it, but I didn't know the cues. I didn't know what it meant. I just felt weird. And I distinctively remember my teacher looking at me like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you okay? Because I was a energetic child. I was talkative. I liked playing and having a good time. And that day, I was not having a very good time. After lunch, we went to go play outside. It wasn't that cold outside, but it was cold. I think it was cold outside. And I couldn't tell the teacher, like, hey, I have sickle cell, I can't go out in the cold, because mind you, my sister was born a couple of months ago. Like, my mom just found out I have sickle cell disease, and I don't know, like, what to tell people, like, hey, it's too cold for me, or it's too hot, or whatever. I'm 3 or 4, so I have no idea to tell her I can't go outside, I'm not feeling well. But I went outside anyways, and I spotted a bench outside, and I decided that is going to be my place for the duration of this playtime. I'm going to sit at this bench for as long as I possibly can until we get to go back inside. So I'm sitting outside, and the feeling of a sickle cell crisis, that feeling that I explained earlier, it became stronger, and I started having really horrible pain in my legs. And it was in both legs. It was super bad. And so I'm sitting there, and I can't even explain the emotions. I just felt like a bus ran over my body, my whole body. But the pain was worse in my legs. And so I can't get up at this point. I don't know how to go wave down the teacher, hey, like, I'm about to die. So the teacher spots me sitting on the bench, and she comes over and she's like, hey, like, what's going on? You've been quiet all morning. You're not playing with the other kids. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, my legs hurt. My legs are hurting really bad. I don't know. Like, they just really hurt. And so her face was like, what? Like, what do you mean your legs hurt? And I'm thinking, like, maybe she thinks that I broke both of my legs, and she had no idea. Like, I broke my legs during some point in class, and she didn't see nothing. But really, I was having a sickle cell pain crisis. She didn't know what to do. Like, I couldn't get up, I couldn't walk. She's like, you can't walk, you can't move. I was like, no, I cannot walk, I cannot move. And at this point, I am bawling my eyes out because the pain is so intense that I'm starting to be fearful and afraid, and I don't know what to do. My mind is foggy. That's how sickle cell makes you feel. Your mind becomes foggy. You do not know what to do with yourself. You become panicked. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was so panicked. So my teacher decided to call the ambulance. The ambulance came. They took me to Children's Hospital, and the doctor was looking at me like, what you mean your legs hurt? Like, what's going on? I don't know why they didn't call my mom ahead of time. I think while we were at the hospital, my teacher called my mom, or she didn't pick up at first, and then she then, picked up later. But I was there like, I don't know what's going on. Like, my legs hurt. Like, I feel like I probably tried to explain to them that I had sickle cell disease, but I'm a 3-year-old. I do not know how to say the full phrase, so I tried, I failed, and so they decided to do a x-ray. I believe they did an x-ray of my legs. There was nothing on the x-ray because clearly my legs are not broken. My legs are in pain because it's a blood issue. I remember trying to tell the x-ray technician, like, hey, I have a disease. That's why my legs is hurting. I have a disease. And I think he was trying to understand what I was trying to say, but I couldn't fully express to him what I was trying to say because I was a little small child. Finally, my mom came to the hospital, and then she explained to the doctor, like, hey, she has sickle cell disease. She's probably having a crisis. I don't know why she's going into a crisis. We just learned she had sickle cell, so I don't know what to do. My mom was so distraught because when she found out that me and my sister had sickle cell, she just thought our lives was probably over. Like, she didn't know what it meant. She didn't know how to treat it. She didn't know anything. And I feel like that's for most Black families with children who have sickle cell. Like, it's hard to, there's not a lot of information out there, and so you just have to go with the flow sometimes and figure out what's good for your body, what's not good for your body, when you need rest, when you can't go outside, when a lot of things. So that day, I learned a very huge lesson, and that is to know exactly what sickle cell disease was, how to explain it to people. And so after that experience, I realized at a very tender age that my parents will not always be there to advocate for me. So I had to advocate for myself a lot, especially in school, because I had a lot of crises at school. School was very stressful for me as a kid. I was the one trying to get good grades and trying to do well, and it was very stressful. A couple of my triggers are stress, weather, anxiety. If I get too hot, For example, like if let's say this room is like room temperature, it's not really hot or cold, but if my body starts to sweat in a room temperature area, then I will start to have some type of pain. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm getting chills. I don't know. But what are a couple of other stressors is water. I cannot get in the pool. I could probably dip my toe in the pool, but not for very long. But I think my stressor that day was probably the weather, because it was pretty chilly outside. It wasn't like snowing or super cold, but it was chilly. And my mother, we usually took the bus or walked. We usually took the bus or walked to daycare, and I feel like I wanted to be walked the most to daycare. I wanted to be walked a lot, and so walking is not my strong suit. I learned that as a child. Walking is not for me because of my illness. But yeah, that was my first sickle cell pain crises ever. I really feel like we need to educate the Black community more, especially young Black children, because doctors and nurses, we have wonderful doctors and nurses. There are some amazing doctors and nurses. I remember my last admission last year in May. I had the most amazing pain doctor, because if I told her this medication was not working for me, I would be bawling my eyes out, and she would switch it, she would up the dose, she would do whatever she needed to do to make me feel comfortable. Sickle cell disease is a very uncomfortable illness. Yeah, like this might sound weird, but I'd rather be kind of like, God forbid, I'd rather be paralyzed than have sickle cell disease. I'd rather not be able to move my legs than be in excruciating pain all the time. And I also have bone damage, so my shoulders and my knees constantly hurt, and they hurt even worse during the winter. They hurt even worse when it's windy outside, or when it's raining, when it's snowing, whatever weather change. That might be horrible. I don't mean to offend anyone who is paralyzed, below the waist, but it's just my experience. If you have sickle cell disease, can you please comment below? What was your first pain crisis? Like what age? Where were you when it happened? And what kind of sickle cell do you have? Do you have SS, SC, sickle beta thal? Whichever it is, comment down below. But yeah, that is the story time. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.
Life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me that. I figured why we fool around so little.